here. I spent 10 years working at the DC Veterans Administration Hospital and helped establish their integrative health and wellness program. I have a particular fondness for working with service members and veterans, and with women. So it feels like a natural to be joining you here today. I'm going to share my screen and start a slideshow. Oh, interesting. Why is that not showing my pictures? Is there a tech person on board who can help with that? I'm showing my own. Let me try again. Stop share. Huh.
Alaine, if you want to email a copy, we could try it from another.
Well, all right. Okay. So let's start with a little exercise. Thank you for that previous exercise. So I'm going to invite everyone to first just find your chair underneath you. Find that experience of the earth that we all share. Find your weight in your chair. Let your bones be heavy and your muscles be soft. And I'm going to invite you to weave your hands, your fingers together and bring them behind your head. Yeah. Let your hands kind of support that place where your head meets your neck. There you go. And keep your hands right where they are, but I'm going to invite you to let your eyes look strongly towards one elbow. And notice if there's any yawn or sigh or breath that comes to you. Just let that happen. Let yourself be curious about that. And then bring your eyes back to center. Let yourself kind of collect yourself and come back to looking strongly to the other side and see if there's any yawn that comes to you like it does to me. Or a sigh, or just kind of a more wetness in your mouth, anything like that. And come back to center. And then take a minute to notice if there's any change in the mobility of your neck or in your sense of space in your chest. Anything different about your heartbeat or your breath, your sense of yourself. Just let yourself notice. And if you want to put something in the chat, a word or something in your chat, go ahead and do that. We're looking for any movement or stillness, sensation or image, emotion or meaning. These are all experiences of your chi, your energy, your life force, coming into a little bit more regulation. So I invite you to come back to this place in a quiet moment, perhaps as you're falling off to sleep tonight or waking up in the morning. And I'll show you a little bit about what we're doing. So the first two cervical vertebrae, they're called the atlas and the axis, they necessarily go out of alignment in order to stop the nerves related to your social engagement response from operating. And they do that when we experience a sense of danger. So our body is organized when we experience danger to not be the least bit interested in stopping by and having tea with a friend. All we're interested in is our mobilization response, our fight or flight response, and that's there to protect us. But the problem, of course, is that once the threat is over, once we're in here and now instead of there and then, we need our social engagement response. We need those vertebrae to line up properly so we can get blood flow to the structures in our hindbrain that go into high alert when we feel danger or life threat, because we want to leave that behind and come into social relationship, come into engagement, come into our tribe, our sense of belonging with other people. So this is just one example of how our attention to physiology can support a therapeutic process. So we want those alignments to be lined up so that when you are in relationship with other people today, you're gonna have them in your heart. So
Alaine, some people are saying settling, calmer,
nice.
more relaxed.
I hope so. Great.
Tenser with a question mark.
Tensor. Well, that's fine. Just notice the tensor and see see how it changes as we go through our time together this morning. We're looking to our bodies have to have that arousal experience in order to melt the part that's frozen. You're going to understand more here after a little minute. So this slide describes danger. So if we're, for example, cleaning out the gutters in our house, preparing for winter rains, and the ladder starts to shake because we've reached too far, we're going to go into high arousal. We're going to attempt to hold that ladder steady. And if we were a gymnast in high school, or we're really good on our physical training, we might be able to right the ladder and bring it back to balance and climb down off the ladder and take a minute to catch our breath and be fine. But if we're not in shape in that way and the ladder continues to shake, we may fall down. And when that happens, like our heart will go into high arousal to help us have enough blood and chi, blood and energy to mobilize to save or protect ourselves. But this time we broke our clavicle, we broke our fibula, we're landing on the dirt, and there's no one home. So even though we're calling out and seeking help, there's no one there to help us. So we may end up down on the ground for a while. Maybe we'll go unconscious. If our heart is beating too fast, it can be unsafe for our heart to beat that fast. And so our body protects us and leaves us unconscious. This way, we're harvesting our chi for repair later. The predator animals are not interested in us because we're not moving. And we have some endorphins that help us with pain. And then when our neighbor comes home and they're kind and they're helpful and they touch us in a safe way and they offer to bring in the rescue people and so forth and so on, we're able then, because we've been treated with kindness, to come back into this zone. So this zone with this wave here is our normal zone. Like we have inhale, we have exhale, we have moon rise, we have moon wax, moon wane, we have sunrise and sunset. All these rhythms of back and forth are part of our normal organization. And this order, this wave, doesn't go away even when we're in high arousal or we're in collapse. So the object of the game is to help us come back into that zone of resiliency where healing can happen, where our chi is available to us. So that's danger, but that's different from life threat. So when there's a sense of life threat, the lightning bolt goes off. Maybe we're hiking in the mountains and there's a rock slide and the rock comes down and pins our legs underneath it. And we fight and we push and we pull and we try to get out. We've got a lot of energy up here, but we can't do it. We're small, the rock's big. And so again, we come back down here into a freeze response and we stay there until some burly hikers come along to carry us off the mountain. But we've stayed in those two states, that high arousal or that collapse, too long. And so what we're left with is this kind of dysregulation, both high sympathetic arousal, high alarm state, and at the same time, a collapse. So we've got the brakes and the gas going on at the same time. And each one of these little pings here ends up being another symptom. Maybe we have migraine headaches, maybe we have irritable bowel, maybe we have an autoimmune illness, maybe we have some metabolic disturbance, maybe we don't sleep. Like all those things are a result of this level of dysregulation. And our zone of resiliency, these two parallel lines, you notice they're narrower because we've gone through too many traumas in the past, and that's narrowed our capacity to be resilient. And what we need to do is find experiences of resiliency so we can bump that zone a little wider, have a little more capacity, so that this zone of resiliency, this wave operates in a wider zone. So the most important take home from this is that even though there's this dysregulation laying over top of the of our zone of resiliency, that the zone of resiliency still exists. We haven't lost it. We just need to find our way back. We just need to find our way back. It's there for us all the time, always. So key takeaways: regulated wave is always available, can't be broken. Complex trauma gives rise to chronic multi-symptom illness. Some of you may have a lot of what I call strange, rare, and peculiar symptoms arising out of that dysregulation in your nervous system from having to escape life threat. Our focus as healers needs to be to return person's energy body to their core regulation, to that regulated wave that's always available. Help them find that. And then when our chi is inside that zone, when our energy is in that zone, then healing happens. Because chi's job is to transform, to transport, to warm, to protect, to heal, all of those things. All we need to do is bring it present into that zone. So when we have, I think of traumatic stress as a vibrational illness that requires vibrational healing. So when we experience vibrational illness, we may notice that we have either low tone or high tone in our tissues. Our body might be kind of flabby, or it might be really rigid and tight, and we can hardly turn around to look behind us because it's so tight. We may have difficulty processing or interpreting what our sensations are in the inside because our chi necessarily left our body when we were falling off that ladder or when our trauma happened. And so our self-awareness is a little compromised. And we may, because we can't really trust the sensations in our body, we may have difficulty interpreting smells we smell or touches we touch or sensations that we have. We may even have phobias about, if we got sideswiped by a blue pickup, we never trust a blue pickup again. May have phobias that constrict our experience of life. We may have a compromised capacity for relationship. We may get involved in reenactment behaviors, just trying to complete the reaction that got started but didn't get finished. And we may be triggered by remotely similar circumstances and have problems with our sleep, our immune, metabolic, cardiac, endocrine systems, all of them. So I think of trauma, I don't think of it as PTSD. I don't think it's a disorder. I don't think it's a permanent state. I don't think it's a life sentence. I think of traumatic stress as a spectrum of responses that arise from an experience of too much, too fast, without adequate support. So trauma isn't an experience, it's our response to an experience. It's a response to any experience that we perceived as life-threatening, overwhelming, and leaving us altered and disconnected from our bodies. But the important thing is, coming back to that, we're hardwired to both become dysregulated and when our system is overwhelmed and to return to regulation. So our job, and I encourage you as you're going through our day-to-day to chunk down your experience into bite-sized portions as you think about it. Slow it down, like take a pause from time to time and just let yourself find your feet on the floor again and take a breath. And look for support. Offer support, receive support. Bring experiences of support to your mind so that you can watch your nervous system come into greater balance. Okay. We're going to do a little guided exercise here. So I'm going to invite everyone to, again, find yourself in your chair. Let your muscles be soft and your bones be heavy. Look for that connection with the earth that we've all found earlier. And we're going to look for what I'm going to call a resource state that helps build our capacity. So see if you can find from this place of anchored in your seat, present in your breath, a place or a person, maybe an animal, maybe a sense of spirit with whom you feel one or more of these with whom you feel respected, protected, encouraged, loved, or supported. One of those words may be more meaningful to you than all the others. Some experience with someone or in some place that when you felt respected, protected, encouraged, loved, or supported, it felt like it changed everything and you weren't alone and you could manage. And as you go to that experience, what do you notice in your tissues? What do you notice in your tissues when you bring yourself to this resource state, this capacity building state? See if you can make a body bookmark. Lay down some breadcrumbs. Make it one of your favorite places where you can just flick a switch and come here easily. And you can use this place, not just today, but anytime that you feel a little activated. Because when you come back to a resource place, you're going to have more capacity for making a spacious response to a circumstance rather than a reactive, impulsive response, one that has a little more thoughtfulness in it. So I'm going to invite you to anchor your attention, your interoception. That's a word that means your felt sense, your somatic sense, in this special body bookmark that you just found. Take your time to just find yourself there and notice sensation, image, stillness, movement, whatever is there. Let yourself really anchor yourself here. And then I'm going to invite you to consider a mildly frustrating event. Something like there wasn't cream for your coffee this morning. A little bit frustrating, but definitely manageable. What happens to your special place when you engage a mildly frustrating one? What happens to it? Let's have you come back to your special body bookmark. We're going to do a little tick-tock. We're going to go back and forth. So come back to your resource place, respected, protected, encouraged, loved, or supported. Take your time to find that place and notice what happens. And then I'm going to invite you to come to a slightly more difficult, but still manageable event. Maybe you stubbed your toe getting in the shower this morning. Maybe there was no cream for your coffee 2 days in a row. Something that was kind of pissed you off, but isn't going to stay with you forever. Notice what happens this time when you dip into an activating experience. How is it the same? How is it different? And let's have you come back to your special body bookmark, your resource, your capacity building place. Come back there. And notice how easy or hard it is to come back this time. Find it. The earth underneath you, chair underneath you, your body heavy. And now let's cautiously consider an image that remains somewhat bothersome. Don't go to the center of the onion. Just something that continues to be somewhat bothersome to you. Notice what happens when you allow this little bit more bothersome image or experience to come. And then let's again come back to your special body bookmark. See what happens this time when you come back. Have you widened your zone of resiliency? Is your zone of resiliency a little bit more capable Do you feel just a little bit more regulated in some way, or a little bit more present, or a little bit more easy in your tissues? And if you'd like, you can put a word in the chat again. This is your chi. This is your body's special energy creating healing for you. We're replacing that wave that was in the center of the zone of resiliency. We're giving a little bit of arousal and a little bit of restoration and a little bit of arousal and a little bit of restoration. And we're trying to help your system recreate that regulated wave inside your zone of resiliency that allows you to heal. So you can use this place when you feel yourself getting maybe triggered. If you do feel yourself feeling triggered, you can bring yourself to your inner regulation using your felt sense of this experience. And what we're really doing is inviting your chi, inviting your energy to return to your tissues. Because when we experience a sense of danger or threat, our chi leaves our tissues. And then if our chi isn't in our tissues, then it can't heal, protect, warm, transform, raise things up. It can't do what it's supposed to do if our chi isn't present. So we want to help our chi come present by making it comfortable and safe to live inside our bodies. And then that allows what I like to call our inner physician to do its work in restoring balance and regulation. So a few questions, and you'll have a chance in small groups to ponder these questions later today, but ask yourself, when did I know it was over? Sometimes we don't know that it's over. We think it's constant. We think it's forever, but it's not. It's over. What helped me cope in the moment? Was there someone who was there for me, or was there a sense of inner capacity or resilience that helped me cope? I mean, I survived it. That was there and then, and this is here and now. How do I know that? And the more that you can notice movement, stillness, emotion or meaning or sensation or image in your tissues, then the more your chi is returning to your tissues where it can actually heal and transform your experience, because chi follows awareness. So we want to support your awareness about when did I know it was over, what helped me cope, who was there for you, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to close. We just got a couple slides here, but I just want to read. This is one of my favorite quotes, and it really speaks to the importance and the role of healing, even just in a small way, can play in a big way. What is good for nature is good for humanity. What is good for one is good for all. What is good for the mind is good for the body. To harm a part is to harm the whole. What is bad for the heart is bad for the body. What damages one person damages all people. What injures the earth injures me. Conversely, to restore and preserve the good health of one body and mind is to foster the well-being of the whole earth and all life upon it. Love that. So if you're interested in more about this approach towards trauma resolution, this is my book, The Tao of Trauma. The key principles from it are that two-legged and four-legged animals go through the same 5 steps of the self-protective response, that these 5 steps are mirrored in the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, that successful completion of all 5 steps mitigates trauma's imprint, that symptoms arise when a step is thwarted or remains incomplete, and that an incomplete step influences trauma's imprint on tissues and organs, cognitive, emotional, and physical functions, and also spiritual longings. So people who study and practice this book are not just acupuncturists, they're also mental health providers and yoga teachers and meditation instructors and so forth and so on. And I also teach a class for professionals. It's a year-long East meets West journey on the Tao of Trauma. We go seasonally through the 5 elements and seasonally through the 5 steps of self-protection and explore the transformative science of polyvagal theory. And there's a group in Silver Spring, Maryland, group in Thousand Oaks, California, and a virtual group. So any of you who are clinicians would certainly be welcome. I'm going to stop my share and see if there are any questions. I'm not sure how our time is going, but I'd be happy to entertain some questions. It might have come in the chat.
There is none right now, but keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, please just use the raise hand function or type them in the chat, and Lisa and I can
Yeah. A
take care
feeling
of
of hope for a